Hello, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Hello, hello. Just wait another 30 seconds or so. Just make sure everyone gets into the room. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good week. For those in the US, it's a week before Thanksgiving, a week before travel, hopefully not too far. Welcome, everyone. Okay, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we will get started. I'm sure more people will start coming in as well. But I'm very excited today to have this webinar. It's been many months in the planning. My name is Alice. I am on the executive council at Waypor and lead the education initiatives at Waypor. One of the things that we do, as you know, as you're here, is having monthly webinars for our membership and beyond. And this month, today, we are so lucky to have our session with Dr. Jiang from SurveyMonkey. I met her several months ago at Stanford when we were at a conference, and she had a very interesting poster and now has been doing really exciting research that she'll be presenting next month at another conference. And so we are quite lucky to get an advanced look at what she'll be presenting next month. And the title of her webinar today, The Application and Evaluation of Large Language Models in Survey Research. And she'll really be sharing her insights into this space, what SurveyMonkey has been doing. So I hope you'll enjoy this session. Dr. Jiang, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure. Thanks, Alex, for your invitation early. Can't believe we made it after 6 months. And hi, everyone. My name is Peng, and let me switch to this one to quickly introduce myself. I lead a data science team at SurveyMonkey, and my education background is in computer science with a Ph.D. From University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And after that, I've spent more than 12 years in industry, focusing on information retrieval and AI in general. And with my recent 5+ years of experience in survey methodologies, and I'm always a big fan to sharing the industry practical learnings with different communities. So with that, my work is reflected in more than 6 issued patents and multiple papers in premium AI conferences. And our recent first paper in another domain called information system, which focusing on data collection and analysis. This lists some of my previous presentations shared to the local community and the global community. Let me move my panel a little bit so I can see my full screen. Yeah, okay. So in 2022, I was invited by the Women in Data Science Conference, co-hosted by Santa Clara University and Stanford University. And the topic is about how to mitigate the bias in surveys via improving the data quality and with the enhanced machine learning algorithms. And in 2023, I was invited by the Education Data Science program at Stanford to talk about how survey and machine learning could help enhance the education experience. And in 2023, we also deployed our first large language model in production for survey creation. And we shared the application and the evaluation with a premium international conference called the CIKM in the machine learning domain. And later, we further enhanced the reliability of the system by the distributional drift detection. And we shared that work with another premium conference called KDD, taking place in Spain in 2024. So by date, we have established a robust framework for evaluating large language models in production. And I believe this topic is well suited for the WIPA audience, assuming that many of you would use surveys a lot for your daily research. So actually help me verify my assumption. Could you like type 1 in the chat if that's the case, if you are using surveys as your research tool? Cool. I saw, yeah, one's popping up. Okay. And yeah, among all those who use surveys, I'm also curious how many of you have a chance to use SurveyMonkey. So yeah, if you use that, please type 2 in the chat. Wow, great. I saw like a large percentage of 2s among the ones. That's great. So for those who didn't have a chance to use SurveyMonkey or heard of SurveyMonkey, we are a leading platform for surveys and forms. And we combine powerful capabilities with our intuitive designs to help the teams to really gather the insights from the survey data and to help them make better decisions, create a better experience, or drive business growth. So this process includes 4 different stages, from survey creation to survey preview and the survey distribute, all the way to the survey analysis. This whole pipeline is backed up by our AI-powered technology, learning from more than 100 billion questions answered globally. So with over 25 years of history in survey creation and survey analysis, SurveyMonkey combines the data scale with our domain expertise to help users at every stage of this over this flow. Excuse me. Actually, also a heads up. I'm catching up a cold recently, so I might need to unmute myself to deal with that for time throughout the presentation. And sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, so with the boost of large language models in late 2022, we have deployed several large language models for both survey creation and survey analysis. So next, we are going to see 2 videos together made by SurveyMonkey. So these are 2 of our deployed systems for building surveys and analyzing surveys, respectively. Each video is about 2 minutes long. And let's start with the first one of Build with AI. It's deployed in 2023.
Today, I'm going to show you how to build a high-quality survey in just a few minutes using SurveyMonkey's AI capabilities. These AI-powered features help you draft a survey from scratch, help you predict your response rates, and even help you analyze your data. Let's get started. So to begin, click Build with AI. From here, you can either write your own prompt or edit one of our example prompts. These prompts cover a number of popular scenarios, from customer feedback to event feedback, and can also serve as a great starting point. If you're crafting your own prompt, be sure to give as much detail as possible. For example, if you need specific question types, like multiple choice, open-ended, or if you're looking for specific responses around customer experience metrics like customer satisfaction. Specify these details in your prompt for the best results. Things you'll want to include are your role, your survey goal, specifics about your audience, like education level, professional background, location, so that you can filter your results later. Include what you want to find out and how you'll want to analyze the data. Don't include sensitive information about your company or services. Let me show you how all of this comes together. I'd like to share a recent example of how I used generative AI for an event feedback survey after a webinar that I hosted. Here's the prompt that I used. I am a marketing manager at a medium-sized tech company based in the United States. I want to understand how we can improve our events by hearing from our attendees. I'm especially interested in measuring satisfaction on certain elements of the event, e.g., keynote speakers, length of sessions, etc. The goal is to identify areas where we can improve. Include customer demographics like location, gender, profession. The survey should also cover feedback on our event in their own words and how likely they are to recommend our event. I think this prompt looks good. To create, click the paper airplane icon and just like that, it creates a whole survey for you. Usually takes a few seconds, but it can take up to a couple of minutes, depending on the survey complexity. Then, here it is. Your survey is created.
Okay, so this is the large language model we deployed for helping users create surveys. And then this next one is called Analyze with AI. It is deployed in 2024, and it is the feature supported by large language model for helping user analyze the responses and dig the insights from there. So let's take a look at this one also.
Have you ever found yourself staring at a mountain of survey responses, just waiting for that aha moment? SurveyMonkey's Analyze with AI can help you sift through your survey responses in seconds and get actionable insights. Let me show you how it works. When you land on the Analyze results page, you'll see the Analyze with AI button ready and waiting. This opens up a chat between you and your data. With Analyze with AI, you can summarize, segment, and visualize your data. Let's try it now. Here's a survey we sent out to our email subscribers asking for their feedback. Let's check out some comparisons between different segments in our audience. For example, here I wrote a prompt to learn more about how the segment who are brand new to SurveyMonkey felt about our newsletter. And you can see that the majority found it extremely valuable or very valuable. Now, let's get a summary of the most common areas for improvement for our newsletter. Here I can see a clear visualization of what topics our readers would like to see more of. The more precise you are, the faster you'll get deeper, actionable insights. If you're looking for inspiration on what to write, check out the suggested questions. Want to export these snazzy visualizations for your next presentation? Click Export and you'll get a PNG downloaded direct. In moments, Analyze with AI sifts through your data and presents key takeaways, clear charts, and concise summaries. Ready to transform your data into decisions? Try SurveyMonkey's Analyze with AI today.
Okay. So for today's presentation, we will focus on the first system built with AI because a better quality survey will impact the overall data quality and the downstream decision making. And unfortunately, for survey creation, there is many common biased questions that people often create even without awareness. So, for example, double-barreled question is a common type of bias question that asks two aspects in one question, like how do you like the format and the context of this conference? The simple fix is to break this down into two questions. And the leading question is another type of biased question that often encourage like a desired answer. So, for example, how much did you enjoy the app? This is a leading question. And a neutral way, like a better way to fix this is to say something like, to what extent, if at all, did you enjoy using the app? And the loaded question is also a common type of biased question, which has some assumption that is not verified. For example, where do you enjoy drinking beer? This already assumes people enjoy drinking beer. So there are many other like biased questions. These are just a few examples. So other than like having bias in the question themselves, And the answer options, as shown in the middle example, the answer options could also fail to cover all the possible cases. And this happens very often. Even like when I'm doing my surveys, when I'm answering surveys, oftentimes I feel like, hey, none of the answer options fit for my case. And even if like all the questions and answer options are well phrased, when they are placing in the surveys, there could still be many common pitfalls, as shown in the last example here. So by putting open-ended questions at the start, that could actually potentially increase the dropout rate, because open-ended questions requires more efforts to answer, so it's more likely to make people like quit early. So as we can see, effective survey creation requires deep domain knowledge, and our goal is to use large language models to lower the barriers for everyone to create high-quality surveys. That motivates us. That's how we build and deploy this system called Build with AI, as you just saying in the video. So users can choose to use the sample prompts, which shown in this middle place. It covers common use cases from customer satisfaction to market research. Or they can type their own prompt in this text box at the bottom, describing what they wanted to learn. So after they have a prompt, they just need to wait until AI to generate the questions for them. Okay, now let's spend a few minutes for each one of you to give it a try. It's very simple steps. If you don't have an account with SurveyMonkey, you can go to our homepage and create an account now. And then after that, you can click the create a survey. And then, because we have quite a few different ways to create a survey, then you can choose Build with AI and try a prompt to build a survey. So I have like created a 3 minutes timer here with I think it's a Thanksgiving timer with the holiday spirit. It's quite a silly song, so you can feel free to turn down your volume if you don't like that. But with that, I'm going to hit the 3 minutes timer. And please feel free to share if you came across it with any issues during the process. Yeah, but now I'll give 3 minutes for each one of you to play with the feature.
Gobble, gobble, go! Uh-oh!
The mashed potatoes flew across the room.
Oh.
Cranberry sauce on the floor. Time to tidy up, turkey style.
Turkey.
There's gravy on the table and socks under the chair. A pumpkin rolled into the hole. There's stuffing everywhere, but we're the cleanup crew, and we know what to do. We'll flap our wings, dance around, and clean up like turkeys do. Tidy up, gobble, gobble, pick it up, wobble, wobble. Cranberry stains, no problem. We're cleaning like turkeys, yeah, we got 'em. Tidy up, flap and spin. Put that spoon back in the bin. 1, 2, 3, let's strut and squeeze. Turkey cleanup can't be beat. The cornbread in my backpack and glitter on the pie. The napkins did a backflip and the corn said hi. We're not mad, it's all in fun. Now cleanup time has just begun. So shake those feathers, make it neat. With turkey toes and tidy feet. Tie up, robble, robble, fit it up, wobble, wobble. Spilled some peas, no drama. We're cleaning with style like your mama. Tidy up, strut and spin. Put that fork back in the bin. 1, 2, 3, don't miss a beat. Turkey cleanup can't be beat. Now flap those wings. Waddle left, waddle right. Spin around and white. Is that a yam in your shoe? Let's gobble it up with a brew. Tidy up, gobble, gobble, pick it up, wobble, wobble. High on the wall, don't worry at all. We'll clean it up and have a ball. Tidy up, flap and spin. Put that napkin in the bin. Turkey's tea, we're on our feet, 'cause turkey cleanup can't be beat. Now take a bite.
Okay, hope you all have some fun time to exploring with the feature and experience the magic of the large language models. Okay, I'm just quickly checking the chat message. Yeah, so the magic actually happens behind the scene with something called the system prompt. So for each user prompt that you typed, for example, create a customer satisfaction survey for e-commerce platform. Each of these user prompts is enhanced by a system prompt. The system prompt can include the survey design best practices, for example, to address those common pitfalls as we just shared, and also to enhance the constraints, like, for example, make sure the outputs of the large language models is compatible with what we support on the platform. So with those enhancements, and this is how the model works behind the scene. And so now the question is really, how do we evaluate this system for survey generation? So to answer that question, we shared our learnings with our recent paper called The Impact of a Deployed Large Language Model for Survey Creation Tool through the Information System Success Model. And I believe this paper was shared early to the community. And also, this, as Alice mentioned earlier, so I will present the paper to the conference at Nashville, Tennessee next month. If you happen to be nearby, feel free to join me there. So now I'm going to present how the question, how we evaluate this system. So to do that, we used the well-established DeLong and McLean information system success model across 4 key dimensions. So this is a model to use to evaluate the information system in terms of how it collects, how it analyzes the data. So these 4 dimensions starts from service quality, which is all about how the system is able to provide the support to users. And the second dimension is to measure the user satisfaction. And we apply another model called the technology acceptance model. So this is another widely adopted framework to assess the user's perceptions and adoptions of the information system. And system use is to measure how users interact with the system. Last but not least, information quality is about assessing the output quality of the system. And it's worth noting that we extended this success model by introducing an AI success framework just to account for the unique properties of large language model. For example, its non-deterministic behaviors or its potential security vulnerabilities. So next, we will briefly go through the service quality dimension and then go through the other dimensions more in detail. To start with service quality, which is about how we provide the support to users. You may notice that we have provided like 5 different sample prompts across various use cases to help user get started. And we also have help articles in that UI, including tips of writing great prompts. We also have built-in feedback mechanism for users to give us to share the feedback to this feature. To measure user satisfaction, this is the second dimension. So we created a feedback survey, which is similar to the NPS survey for those of you who are not familiar with the NPS survey, or yeah, it is a common type of customer satisfaction survey, usually asking two questions. So we mimic that setting, also asking two questions here. First is, what is your rating of Build with AI from 1 to 5? And the second question is, why do you give that rating? And after we get those survey responses, we analyze the survey responses in several different ways, including calculating the average rating of the score. And then we group the respondents to two groups, the promoter group and the detractor group, based on the ratings to the feature. And we also run another large language model to code each responses to different categories. So this is where we use that TAM model I mentioned earlier to these categories, like users' perceived ease of use, perceived usefulness, and the behavior intention. So we'll take a look at the findings together. So among about 600 people who gave us feedback, the average rating is 3.18. And there are a few things that the promoters love about this feature, including they think it's easy to use. They could perceive the usefulness of the feature because of its professional quality of output and the savings in the time. And also there is about 50% of people expressed the intention to use it in future. So this is what the promoters love. And on the right side, we shared a few concerns that the detractors have about the feature. For example, people have shown concerns of the waiting time is longer than the expectation. And also they shared pains in being able to see the generated questions, that they need to switch page instead of being able to scroll down on the same page. And also they are showing frustration about the lack of undo functionality, like if you wanted to undo your prompt or you needed to edit your prompt. It's not supported currently. So yeah, those feedbacks are very helpful for us to understand the user satisfaction, to understand this dimension. Next, we're going to move to the other dimension of system use. And to remind this dimension measures how users interact with the system. To understand that, we compare Build with AI with other survey creation methodologies. And within Build with AI, we analyze the usage patterns of both the sample prompt and the user prompt. We also conduct experiments to understand what really drives users to accept the surveys generated by Build with AI. So let's look at each one of them. So for the comparison, just a quick context sharing. So SurveyMonkey provided quite a few different ways to create a surveys. We have build from scratch, which is like users can just create the questions one by one, and build with the large language model is the build with AI we are talking about, and the copy from another survey. So this is like if someone already have a survey, they just copy from that, usually for this recurring cases. And build from templates. We provided a lot of templates for different use cases, so users can choose from building from templates and modify the questions from there. And there is also a functionality of import questions. This is for cases when users already have the questions listed in like Google Doc or PDF or any other places, and we support them to import these questions and make it available, workable with our platform. So these are like a few of the survey creation methods. And when we compare Build with AI with them, we compare several different dimensions from like how the features are used, and how often it's shared, how often it's help users to receive the responses. So we'll look at them. So this is like from the 1 year period. As we can see, Build with AI it outperforms the three other existing survey creation methodologies and is second to the first one, built from scratch. This, which is often like our most commonly used method for survey creation. And the next metric is what we call activated. So this is to say like what's the percentage of surveys is ended up being shared out after being created. So in this figure, we can see that build with AI still ranks as the second one, and this time is the first one is copied from another survey, which is natural, which is expected because if someone already have a survey, it's naturally it has a higher chance of being shared. And in the and this metric is called deployed. Because remember, in the whole pipeline, we wanted users to be able to create, share, and receive the responses. So this one is really about when the survey responds at least 5 responses, and this is a strong indicator of the survey success. And to be able to monitor the changes over the time, we use the like 28-day deployment rate. So this is the percentage of surveys that got deployed within 28 days after they are created. So this time, instead of seeing this cumulative value, we see the changes over the time in this about 1 year period. And the build with AI, as indicated by this green curve here, it still shows as the second one, outperforming the other three and being second only to this first one of copy from another survey, which we just talked about. Yeah, it just naturally has that high probability of being shared, being deployed quicker than other ways. So we are very satisfied with how user engage with this feature. And next, within this feature, we would like to understand the usage of the sample prompt and the user prompt. So for sample prompt, we know that it's already covered a few different use cases. And for user prompt, we categorize them. We build a model to categorize them to different use cases. And then we compare this distribution with sample prompt. And the goal is to help us identify areas where we could expand this sample prompt coverage, right? Because if like a certain category is often used by user, we would like to include a sample prompt for that. So here, this is our findings. First of all, customer satisfaction, this category remains the most frequently used category in both sample prompt usage and the user prompt categorization. And then for this category, for the employee experience category, we found opportunities to further break it down to be more granular, such as user feedback, such as employee feedback and employee engagement. So based on this user prompt categorization. And and also like in addition to event feedback here, we also found like a notable usage of another category, related category called event registration. So this helps us understand where we could potentially expand our sample prompt coverage. We also would like to understand, after a survey is created by Build with AI, what drives users to accept them or not. So to do that, we collected the data about, specifically, it's about more than 200,000 pairs of prompts and these corresponding surveys. And we used a binary classifier called LightGBM to predict whether user will accept or not accept the survey. And here, accept means that they will move forward with the downstream tasks, such as sharing the survey. And not accept means that they will start from basically restart with a new prompt, or they will just exit the system. And the model, the binary classified model, uses features like the metadata about the prompt, the metadata about the generated questions, and the user profile information, such as user's industry, job title, etc. The findings is listed here. So it shows that a shorter prompt is associated with a high probability of survey acceptance. So the histogram below is in the x-axis, it shows the length of the prompt in the unit of characters. And then the y-axis shows that how many times the corresponding surveys are accepted by the user. And the acceptance is indicated by this orange color. So we can see that from roughly 200 to 400 characters, if the prompt is within that length, it has a higher chance of being accepted, of the survey being accepted. Yeah. So with this, we end our evaluation about the system. Sorry. About let me just go back about the system usage. So we compared Build with AI with the other survey creation methodologies, and we also look into the Build with AI, the user's interaction within Build with AI to understand its prompt usage and also understand what drives users' behaviors. So last but not least, we'll move on to this dimension of information quality. And this is really about how do we evaluate the quality of the large language models. And because we mentioned like those unique properties of large language models, we propose the AI success framework that includes 3 different components to address the specific characteristics in large language models. The first one is called human in the loop. So this is really about involving humans to work together with the systems to improve the outcome. So in this case, we have survey experts to manually assess the survey quality. And we combine this human in the loop with the automated drift detection in the shadow test. For those of you who are not familiar with shadow tests, so this is usually like we have a production model run there, and then we have another candidates model that we assume it might be able to replace the production model because of some evaluation done. So then we just put both models running, and the shadow model or the candidates model will run behind the scene. So in this case, we will compare the surveys generated of these 2 systems and run some data drift detection to decide how much difference between those 2 systems and to help us make a final decision of whether or not to replace the current model with the candidates model. And once the model is deployed, we applied a few safeguards to maintain a responsible AI system. So human in the loop. Yeah, as we mentioned, human will be involved in this process because you can imagine like for large language models, one of the properties is, or the difference with the traditional models is it generates the context. So it's oftentimes there is no ground truth compared with other tasks like if you wanted to predict a sentiment. You will for sure, you will know clearly if like a sentence is associated with a positive or negative sentiment. But here for large language models, if you're using to like in this case, generate surveys, it's very hard to find a ground truth to say like this is a good survey or this is a bad survey, right? So that's why we have survey researchers to define a set of metrics to measure what is a good survey. So this metrics covers this question level and survey level, basically to measure how good is the question, how good is the overall survey. So for the question level, it has a few different metrics to cover what is the quality or like clarity of the question text themselves, and how good is the answer options, like whether it's complete or not, as we shared the example earlier, and also the bias check, basically check whether the questions is biased or not. And as we mentioned earlier, right? So even if a question is well phrased, there are still multiple things we need to consider at a survey level. So for example, right? So for the giving prompt, how like whether the survey, the overall questions are able to cover all the aspects mentioned in the survey, in the prompt or not. So that is to say if there is any missing questions or not. And also how relevant are those questions when compared to the requirements put in the prompt. And also how many like different question types are presented in the survey, because one thing we wanted to avoid is one type of questions are dominating the survey. So those are a few metrics defined to measure the survey quality. And for each one of these metrics, the survey researchers will use each metric to evaluate, manually score a sample set of surveys. And they will assign a score from 0 to 2, with 2 indicating the best score. And we, data scientists, will average the scores and conducted the statistical tests for each metric. And this is very helpful in scenarios like when we wanted to assess whether a system upgrade will introduce negative effect or not. Because oftentimes, like for OpenAI, they were telling us like they needed to do some model deprecation, right? They need to retire a certain version of the model at a certain timeline. So like in this case, we needed to upgrade the model. But in this case, we just need to make sure that model upgrade, it will not introduce negative effects. So this human evaluation is therefore very helpful for these cases. However, human in the loop, as you can probably imagine, requires huge manual efforts. So to scale, we added those automated drift detection. So the flow chart on the left shows that for each generated surveys, we will define a bunch of meta features on the surveys to basically capture some properties of the survey. On the right, I added some description about those meta features. So for us, we worked together with our survey researchers to define 21 meta features. So this includes features like, okay, so what are the counts of different question types in the survey? Like, for example, open-ended questions, where users provide free text responses, or MPS, right? So these are the rating questions from 0 to 10, and the multiple selection questions, so where the respondent can choose more than one option. And we also include statistics related to the length of the question or the length of the answer options, like the average number of words per question or the average number of answer options. Right. So the idea is like we wanted to capture something to reflect, to help us understand the survey questions and the overall survey. Excuse me for a second. So once we have defined those meta feature, so we run a popular test called PSI. It stands for Population Stability Index. So this is a test used to measure the drift distribution of feature values. So in this case, we wanted to run that between the production model and the candidates model. And so basically, the idea is we wanted to understand how big the difference between these two models. So if a drift is detected, this means like there is a big difference between these two versions, two models. So we will read the alert, discuss with the product team, and decide if we could do a model upgrade. Okay, so let's look at the results. So this table shows the comparison of basically four experiments. Each experiment is a comparison of two systems. So note that it reports the number of failed tests. And the failed test is when the PSI score is greater than or equals to a certain threshold. We used 0.2, which is a common threshold used. This indicating a major change in this feature. So then for each experiment, right, when we are comparing two systems, a system could change when the model has changed. For example, here we are comparing ChatGPT 3.5 to 3.4, or a system could also change, as in the first experiment, right, when there is a a different version of the system prompt. So here, like say in the first experiment, we keep the model unchanged, but then the system prompt is changing from one version to another version. So among these different comparisons, we reported the number of failed tests, right? So as you notice that each one of them, the summation of failed and passed should always add it to 21 because we have 21 features in total. But what we are interested in is to see like which experiment has the largest number of failed tests because that indicating there is big changes, right? So in this case, we noticed that the third experiment, which is comparing between GPT 3.5 and 3.4, and 4, has the largest number of failed tests, which indicating there's a huge difference between these two models. And based on those drift test analysis and also our human evaluation, we recommend to the product team that we should replace the production model with the ChatGPT 4 combined with the newer version of our system prompt to the system. And once the model is in the system, is deployed. So we apply quite a few different safeguard mechanism to maintain the reliability and the security of the system. So for example, one property of a large language model is users can now also have a way to control the model behavior, right? Because users can type the prompt and the prompt can manipulate the system. So because of that, users can basically type anything. They can ask the system to do math problems or the coding tasks. Therefore we needed to apply some filtering or like sometimes called prompt sanitization or the input validation, right? To basically reject those inappropriate requests when user type something there. The other thing is called the other common like the security vulnerability associated with large language model is called the prompt leakage. So which refers to when the system prompt is made available to users. So for this one, we collaborated with a third-party company. So they are a consulting company focusing on like intentionally trying to attack the system and trying to find cases where they could reveal the prompt, the user prompt could reveal the system prompt. And they actually successfully found one and shared with us. So that's how it helps us to add more guardrails in our system prompt to make sure we could recognize and therefore reject those kind of attempts that is trying to reveal the system prompt or the system instructions. Excuse me. And last but not least, there is a common type of attack, security attack, called the denial of service attack or DOS attack for short. This type of attack is not unique for large language models. It's actually very common in other software as well. This is a type of attack that the bad actors trying to flood the system with too many requests. So therefore, it will make the system slow down or even unavailable. So then the real users cannot get access to the system. Right. So the fix to that is to put in caps, to put in limitations. So in this case, we put a limitation about some maximum number of prompts that a user could submit within an hour. So this is very helpful to maintain the system availability for the real users in general. So to summary, this work has contributed both theoretically and practically. Theoretically, we extended the information system success model with the AI success framework to account for these unique properties of large language models. So that includes 3 different dimensions. Human in the loop combined with those automated drift analysis, and then the safeguard together to ensure the reliability and accountability of large language model systems. And practically, this work provides a replicable framework for assessing the impact of large language models in production. Yeah, with that, I wanted to thanks for your interest in this work, and I believe we can later move on to your questions if you have any. And meanwhile, please feel free to add me in LinkedIn. I would love to stay connected to know more about your research, and I will also, my plan is I also would like to share more of the learnings with our other large language models, as like I mentioned, the other one analyzed with AI. Yeah, so we are keep building more LMs for our customers. Thank you. So I'm just looking at the chat window now. I'll read the questions. Will the AI survey designer ever utilize survey experiment to conduct as a user list experiment, but it did not? Yeah, I would like to know more context about this question, Christopher. If you feel comfortable, please feel free to unmute yourself. Or you can type more context in the chat. Yeah, as Sanya mentioned, you can type your questions or raise your hand if you would like to speak.
Unfortunately, I think Christopher is
Oh,
not, I think he had to drop off.
mm-hmm,
So we may have to follow up with him afterwards.
mm-hmm.
If you want to move to Ludwig's question, he asked, is there a possibility to have the AI ask follow-up questions to fill in gaps that the designer may not think of?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. Um, That's definitely possible. This is actually something we are thinking because for like if you think about build with AI, it's more like helping users at the first step. So you create a bunch of questions, but we also have that survey preview page, which is we allow users to preview the surveys to understand to check the surveys. So that's the opportunities where they could further edit the survey to add more questions or or removing questions or modifying a question. So what we are thinking is like we probably can have another large language model at that stage to help users check preview the survey. So that's exactly doing what you are mentioning here to identify gaps, to further check the questions, to like suggest removing questions or modify questions or changing the tone. So there are a bunch of things we could do at that stage, the previous stage. Yeah, so definitely that's possible. And then we see another question. Is this possible a selection effect? Shorter prompts may come from less picky users. That's an interesting thoughts. Yeah. Um, less picky. Yes, I think those are interesting questions to understand uh the real like root cause behind the saying. Actually, yeah, my team has been keeping analyze those usage patterns in the prompt to understand those factors, and yeah, there are just many things we could further investigate. And let's see, there is looks like there is another question about any good workflow to use large language models to check the quality of the survey responses or any references. Yeah, within SurveyMonkey, we have built. It's a couple of years ago, even before the boost of large language models. We have built a dedicated model to check the quality of the survey responses. Yeah, because you ask this question because then you probably know like the quality of the surveys is another big thing because anyone they people can type anything when they are answering the surveys, right? For these open-ended questions, and then even for closed-ended questions, there could be like speeding, right? So when someone just quickly answer the surveys much quicker than what like a real survey could take, or they are just like always choosing the same answer options, which is what we refer as streetlining, right? So they always choose A, or always choose C, and then like for open-ended questions, they could type gibberish, or even worse, they could type profanity, right? And then to flag those ones. And what makes things even challenging is like sometimes even if like the responses looks grammarly correct, but then it could be totally unrelated to the question being asked. So this is also a type of poor quality response. And and with large language model, it added an additional challenge of many of the responses could actually be generated by the model, by large language models, right? So then there's add another layer of how to identify those fake responses. You know, so there are there are many. So for us, we try to help users flag those poor quality responses on the platform, so then they can decide whether to keep or remove those responses before they do the downstream tasks, right? Because those data really messed up the whole data quality. One thing could be helpful is also actually related with the survey design stage because you could consider adding like a trap question in your survey design, right? So by adding some trap question basically refers to like there should be a single true answer to that question. So if someone even choose the wrong answer for that one, then you know the quality is not the quality is not accountable. So you can also consider that. Yeah. Okay, let me make sure I'm keeping track of the chat. Okay, have you? Yeah, no worries, Alice. Okay, let me look at the next one. So, have you explored large language model driven voice agent as part of the related research or internally by chance? If so, what are your findings? Yes, I think we just recently had a hackathon, 2 days hackathon. I think there is a hackathon team did like a small a demo of this. Yeah, that's definitely very interesting to to see how can we productionize. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I believe I addressed all the questions in the chat. If there is any other questions, please either feel free to just speak up or type in the chat. We can wait for a few minutes. Okay, I would assume folks are good. Sanya, should we make it a end at this point?
I think so. Thank you so much, Peng, for your very interesting presentation. It has been a great pleasure and very, very informative. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If there are any questions, please contact Dr. John over LinkedIn. And we look forward to welcoming you at our next webinars. Have a nice afternoon.
Oh, thanks, Anya. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Have a nice day.